very good afternoon. Assalamualaikum once again. Thank you so much for staying through. This is the last forum of the 2 days conference, and I am so honored to be here, and I am so happy to see that you have not decided to leave after lunch to go buy your ikan bilis. So thank you so much, because ikan bilis close at 10 p.m. So okay, can still do after this, okay? All right, so the title of our Forum 3, Gender Equality at Leadership Table, whose battle sounds like we're going for a war. And it feels like a battle. Somebody is going to be defeated and some people are going to come back with blood and patah kaki, broken arms and hands. Sounds like a struggle, a challenge. But I'm not going to trivialize it, because the truth is, it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, doctors, professors in this room, I am so honored, and I'd like to actually give my personal thanks to Puan Kamisa for inviting me today, because this topic is very close to my heart. Okay, as MC mentioned, I started my media career back in 2002, hosting, producing, writing script, and also directing some episode of an award-winning women empowerment program. And through that program, I was sensitized. I was just the normal, girls can take on the world, I was not aware of the issues and the challenges. And as I move into my career in the media landscape, I see that what started off as a same playing field with my male counterparts felt like this is not what it is. This is not the image that was painted, that women, we can, but not without challenges, and definitely different challenges than our male counterparts. So the sexual harassment is real. I've gone through that. The discrimination, the trivializing, the mansplaining as well. And for the past 6 years, okay, I know I'm kind of like not graduate on time, but dwelled into research on women leadership in the media creative industry. So maybe in another time, I love to share with you, and perhaps any faculty would like to invite me to share my research. I'm more than happy. Okay, so now, enough about me. Our panelists today have been carefully selected to talk about, to discuss, to battle it out about gender equality at leadership table, whose battle. And I'd like to introduce to you each and every one of them. So the first one, just on my right, the lovely Associate Professor, Dr. Hatice, from the head of Department of Asian Studies, Institute for Area Studies, and she's also the Vice Director of the Institute, flown all the way from Ankara, and she was just telling me that she hasn't had the time, so much time to explore Sabah, although I kind of like tried to coax her to like take a boat this morning to go to Sapi Island. But she's such a good professor, she said, no, I'm going to come to the conference. Yeah, so next time for sure. There's 3 islands over there, Mamutik, Manukan, and Sapi. Beautiful. And Gaya, right? Betul ke? Okay, so her current position, the head of Department of Asian Studies, Institute for Area Studies, Social Sciences, University of Ankara, Turkey. And we have this lady who asked the question this afternoon, and I said, oh, I know her, she's in my session. Puan Zabetha Muhamad, the founding partner, Messrs. Zabetha, Chinna and Co. Okay, current position, founding and lawyer, and she's in the legal field. Okay, she acquired her Bachelor of Law from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Right, so So don't mess with lawyers, okay? They talk factual. And on the right side of Puan Zabetha, we have Datuk Dr. Hajah Tarsiah. Thank you so much for being here. I know, had the opportunity to chat with her yesterday, a very strong and demure woman, chairman of the Sabah Women Advisory Council, MPWS, ataupun pengurusi Majlis Penasihat Wanita Sabah. She is also very, very involved in the political and also entrepreneurship landscape. And last but not least, talking about diversity, this is beautiful because actually for that, whose battle, we need more men on this chair, because the challenge is we can't just be battling and no support from the male counterpart. So I like to welcome the male feminist. Is it okay if it's actually a positive. It's actually a positive title. It's just that the perception out there has created so much about the title feminist. But please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Associate Professor Datuk T.S. Dr. Ramzah Dambul, the Chief Executive Officer, Institute for Development Studies, Sabah. And when I read his credentials, I was really excited because we actually attended University of East Anglia, not at the same year, okay? I was much earlier because I was doing my undergraduate. So that was in 2000. And Datuk did PhD in University of East Anglia in synoptic climatology in 2007. Wow. So probably after this we can have a little chat about Norwich. That's where East Anglia is. All right, so please, a round of applause to all our panelists. So let's start the forum. And I think you would already be accustomed by now, the format of it. So every panel will have an opportunity to share about their challenges or to share about their humble beginning and how they have reached to this stage today. And after that, we will have a round of questions. And the half an hour, I'm thinking about 3 plus 3:30, because I know we have a closing ceremony after this. I would like to open the floor to you to ask any questions. And I think any intellectual discourse will not be enriched without the question from all of you. Please, male and female, men and women, this is your opportunity. Ini adalah isu kita bersama, ya. Because I always get a perception that a women's issue is women lah. Women should be the one. Women, you know, it's not. We don't really know. Okay. So, but I personally feel that it's very important for the men to participate and to actually spearhead to make that real change. So with that, let's start the ball rolling with Associate Professor Dr. Hatice to share about her journey, thoughts, feelings, and emotion on the topic. Please.
Thank you for the introduction. First of all, I would like to thank to the organizing committee and the UMS and also the AKEPT for this very kind invitation for me. It's my first time in Malaysia and also in Sabah, and I'm already impressed by the beauty of this country and the hospitality that the Malaysian people have been showing to me. I'm really glad to be here. First of all, with your permission, I would like to dedicate my today's speech to my father, whom I lost on the 1st of August this year by a traffic accident. So, and he has been one of the most strong, let's say, strong persons in my life, and he has been always supportive for my all education, of course, together with my mother. So I put my title as being a female scholar, academic, or administrator in the area studies field, a personal experience sharing, because area studies field is a relatively new academic discipline within the Turkish universities. And as specifically a person or a scholar working on Asia, Asian studies is part of this area studies field, which is on the way of development in Turkish universities in general. So before moving into my presentation, let me give some more details for my personal life, because it might be helpful for more questions during the Q&A session. Actually, I'm coming, although I live in Ankara, I'm coming from a small village which is located in the western part of Turkey, which from many perspectives might be considered as a more liberal or more progressive part of Turkish geography. But still, there was, when I was a child, there was still some like hesitances towards the girls' education, especially for high school education and also university education. So in this sense, my family was quite supportive to send me to high school and also to the university education. And I'm one of the first university graduates of my whole family. So being today an academic in a Turkish university is quite important for my both personal life and also for my whole, let's say, family, and for my village and for my relatives. So my content is very basic. I will as you have witnessed, made a very small introduction, and I will be talking about the area studies in Turkey, how it's been accepted as a new academic discipline, and also try to share my experience, how being a female academic in Turkey looks like, and I will conclude. So, of course, most of you are quite familiar with the area studies in general in the United States and also in Europe. And I'm sure you are quite familiar with the fact that in the United States, it occurred with after the following the Second World War, it emerged as a new discipline to learn the others, to learn the enemy more, and that enemy was the Soviet Union. And in Europe, it goes back to the Oriental times and the colonial times to know the other geographies and the colonial, let's say, geographies that European countries have been colonizing, and to learn those unknown, let's say, regions. But in Turkey, in general, we have been following a different path, different way. Rather than labeling as other geographies or other communities as other, we are emphasizing a political, cultural, economic, and historical ties that Turkish, let's say, history has been developed through. And if you look at the United States, Europe, and the Turkish cases, how the area studies follow the different paths for the institutionalization, or let's say giving importance to the area studies. Actually, the United States and the European cases are quite similar to each other. We can say they have managed to establish good institutions for this area studies disciplines, but in Turkey still it's a new discipline, and still under the domination of international relations department and most of the political sciences. And actually we can definitely talk about still a lack of institutionalization in Turkish universities regarding the area studies in general, and learning the regional language or having a field work, or let's say visiting the countries that you are working on or having a research on is quite limited, mostly related to the funding issues. If you have a look at the Turkish scholars in Asian studies, and if you look at the gender perspective in Asian studies in Turkey, actually I can say that it's quite promising, because on the contrary to the international relations departments, I can say that Asian studies is more gender balanced or gender equal field in Turkey. For instance, Professor Dr. İsembike Togan, she has been one of the very famous historians in Turkey working on China, and she has encouraged many students to work on China. And also another female professor, Çağdaş Üngör from Marmara University, she has been also working on China. And my PhD supervisor, she was Ceren Ergenç, and she is also one of the Chinese studies scholar. Currently, she is based in Europe, but she has been also quite successful in her field. So the other professors, I only put some of the names just to give some examples, but they are working on like Chinese foreign policy, politics of Asia Pacific, Northeast Asia, Japanese foreign policy, ASEAN region, etc. And also Selçuk Esenbel, without like forgetting her name, she also has been one of the famous Japanese historians based in Turkey. So we can say the interest among Turkish academics for the Asian studies emerged through the 70s and 80s by their personal interest without any kind of like support or a planning of the state initiative. But currently, we are more on the way of, let's say, through institutionalization. And I myself call myself as a second, let's say, second generation Asian experts, following the first ones that I shared the names with you. And I personally was educated in the Middle East Technical University, which is one of the best state public universities in Turkey, in Asian Studies Master Program in 2008 and 2009. And this program, Asian Studies, was one of the first programs established in Turkish universities on Asian Studies field. And when this program was being established, I was also a research assistant in the graduate school, so that I had many experiences like learning how to establish a master program and how to deal with all the bureaucratic and administrative stuff during that period. And also in 2008, Confucius Institute, one of the first Confucius Institute, was opened in my alma mater university, the Middle East Technical University. And again, during the preparation of the Confucius Institute opening ceremony, I was there as a research assistant and learned a lot during this preparation processes. So if you have a look at the scholars, or let's say academics within this field in Turkey in general, as I mentioned before, usually they are coming from the international relations and political science backgrounds, and usually try to learn one of the regional languages. However, we can say that the themas or the issues that have been covered by those scholars, including myself, mostly focusing on the foreign policy, security, regional alliances, and interstate relations. However, we can say that there is a limited focus on the, let's say, the low political issues, which can be considered as gender, environment, migration, and comparative political studies. And definitely, as a female academic, I'm trying to also like encourage my students to work on more gender perspectives of different Asian countries through their thesis. And if you have a look at the methodology part of this section, we still see the domination of the theories of international relations, and we see a mostly state-centered approach in Asian studies. However, if we have a look at the Turkish foreign policy in general, there is no, I think, doubt that Turkish Republic has been following a Western-centered foreign policy agenda in the first decades of the Republic, because, of course, at that time there has been quite understandable reasons for Turkish Republic to follow a more Western-oriented foreign policy. However, in the current years, in the recent years, we have seen that the government has been emphasizing the relations with the Asian countries, and in 2019, the previous Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlüt Çavuşoğlu, has expressed a new initiative, which is called Asia a New Initiative, and this is basically aiming to develop and deepen the Turkish Republic's relations with Asian countries. Actually, this doesn't necessarily mean that we didn't have any relations with Asia. Of course we had, like culturally, historically, politically, we had many relations, but this Asia a New Initiative is like having an aim of like providing a kind of like framework for the current Turkish foreign policy in general. And if you have look at what are the lacking points in Asian studies in Turkey in general, as I mentioned before, the lack of institutionalization is among the first ones, and secondly, the lack of financial support and the funding for research, and lack of field knowledge, of course, directly related to the lack of the funding, and also lack of women. Like still, although there are many women academics in this field, still we have to encourage more women to study on like Asian studies more. And let me share some of my personal experience, how I choose this field and how I became an academic in this field. So actually my personal academic career started in 2008 with my master program in Asian Studies. Actually at that time the popular programs in Turkey was mostly the Middle Eastern studies and also the European studies. For instance, when I first decided to make have a master's studies in Asian studies, many of my friends were asking me, why are you studying Asia? Why don't you choose a European studies or Middle Eastern studies program? Because, you know, in the minds of people, Asia was quite far away from Turkey and it was not comfortable. So for them, it will be much better for me to choose any European country and focus on European studies or maybe to the Middle Eastern studies. And after after successfully having a research assistant position, I was quite lucky to have a female professor as the thesis advisor, my PhD advisor, and she has been always supportive for my research, for my academic career. And during my PhD years, I applied for a scholarship to South Korea for 6 months to have my PhD research, and she was always supportive, and she was encouraging me to apply for the scholarship and go abroad and have a field research, etc., etc. So apart from the many other people in their mindset, my female professor, as I said, was quite supportive for me to choose an Asian country and to follow my way in this Asian studies field. And of course, it's quite important to have supportive mechanisms such as scholarships, conference organizations, and publications. I mean, of course, when you are a MA student or PhD student, you do not have much access to many things, many such mechanisms. But it should be your professors or your young colleagues that they should invite you to the scholarship applications or conference organizations and also to their publications. Otherwise, if you are not within that network, it will be quite difficult for you to be able to go into that kind of network, let's say, mechanisms. So I personally also try to put some attention in participating in gender balanced events, such as the thesis juries or let's say book projects, like special issues within the journals, and also the TV shows and also the radio interviews. For instance, in Turkey sometimes the discussion is on gender equality and gender balanced events. Some of the conferences are quite male dominated and there are a very limited number of women researchers there, and then people are criticizing this situation. And of course I personally, as I said, try to be more selective when I was invited to somewhere. I'm trying to learn how many women are there, for instance, within the jury or within the publications, or when I'm invited to such events or to such mechanisms, I usually try to accept their invitation just to contribute to the gender balanced and gender equality within that projects. And also another discussion within Turkish academia is the struggle against mansplaining or the male counterparts usually having a kind of psychological, let's say, pressure towards their women counterparts. And let me share some numbers from the Turkish universities with you. Actually, Turkish universities are quite good in the sense that having female academics, especially as compared to the European Union average numbers. For instance, in total in Turkish universities we have almost 85,000 female academics, and the whole professor number is around 33,000, and among those 33,000 professors, almost more than 11,000 are women. And the rate of female professors is almost 34%. And if you look at the whole, let's say, the numbers, the female and male numbers starting from the research assistant position and goes upwards lecturer, assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. In the first, in the bottom line as the research assistant and the lecturers, you can see that the female numbers are slightly much more, let's say, higher than the male numbers. But when the positions are going upward, we see that there's a decrease in the number of the female numbers. So, of course, there are many reasons for that. It might be related to family issues, the females giving birth to children, and maybe some other like institution-wise, let's say, problems, etc. But definitely we can understand from the numbers that when the academic titles are going upwards, the number of the females are definitely on the decrease. And the rate of female administrators in higher education, including the rectors, deans, department heads, and the high school directors, it's actually, for the European countries, it's almost like 24%. But in Turkey, it's 28%. Actually, I think this is the last year's percentage, and this year it was 32% in Turkey, the rate of female administrators. And if you look to the chart, I try to show you the female and male rectors. The blue one is for the male rectors in Turkey. And you see there is a clear-cut difference between the number of the male rectors and female rectors within the Turkish universities. And if you look at to these numbers, we can say that the percentage of the male rectors is almost like 90%, and the female rector percentage is like around 9 or 10%. So it means that there's a clear-cut difference between the male and female rectors in the higher education system. And the Kadir Has University, which is one of the private universities in Turkey, they announced their research, the gender inequality in academia in Turkey. It covers the period between 1984 and 2018. And according to the report, it's a very long report, but let me share some of the very basic, let's say, findings. According to the report, there's a tremendous inequality in the upper management, which you remember from the previous slide that you have seen the numbers in the rector, let's say, numbers, female and male numbers. And Southeast Anatolia is the least equal region in academia regarding the gender equality. So there are many reasons related to this. I mean, it should be related to societal reasons, etc. But it's a very long, let's say, discussion. Maybe we can talk about in the Q&A session. And women academics are in majority in faculties of architecture, communication, and health sciences. And I also found out in the report that one of the least gender equal faculties is the faculties of Islamic studies or religious studies. And also private universities are slightly more gender equal than the public universities. And yes, the result is that still within the Turkish academia we can say that although it's better than the European Union averages, there is still especially in some departments and some faculties, it's still male-dominated, and in some departments we still lack the number of women. So what might be done for a better balanced and gender-empowered Asian studies scholarship in the periphery, or let's say in the semi-periphery, like Turkey? We should definitely increase or raise the funding for female researchers and encourage them, and support the institutionalization via considering the gender balance, and definitely empower the gender diversity and equality, and strengthening the academia, bureaucracy, and business nexus, which including the female, let's say, existence. Of course, we have been talking about like empowering the diversity, equality, etc. Actually, it's not that difficult. I mean, it all depends on your perspective. It's not that, let's say, difficult again. Like, for instance, I share, like in my department in Asian studies, I have some colleagues, and for instance, I'm like continuously like asking for their opinions, or like when we have trying to decide on something, and we have been like considering the gender equality when we are like hiring the people, etc. So in this sense, it's not that difficult. The only thing is that you should really be like focusing on the empowering the gender diversity and equality. So let me finish here, and in the Q&A session, I will be happy to hear your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hatice, for giving us an insights of what an academia, female academia in Turkish university. And what caught my eyes from that presentation was the fact that you mentioned support was very important. You had a female supervisor, and also I think in the beginning of your presentation you mentioned about your father. So I think this resonates or validates a lot of research saying that support is important in order for women to climb up or be in a leadership position. And perhaps, Doctor, before I move on to the next speaker, Doctor, maybe you can share what was the one key success factor for you personally that has brought to you to where you are today?
I will definitely say my family, because I mean, from my early childhood, I remember that my father and my mother was always supportive, because both of them are couldn't continue their education for different reasons, and especially my father was always saying that I will do my best for you to have a proper education until you go. I mean, until the point that you would like to go. So in this sense, I think it's one of the most important factors is definitely the family, especially for the girl children. So their fathers, their mothers, if you have a strong support from your family, you are let's say 1 point forward than your counterparts. So in this sense, and also I also would like to include my teachers, definitely. I will never forget their support, because they have been always encouraging me to take the necessary exams for the high school, for the university education, etc. So in this sense, if you are especially coming from a low-income family like me, the support of the teachers in the high schools, or let's say in the secondary school, it's quite important. My family and my teachers, let me say.
Thank you very much. So I would like to further highlight and emphasize that, probably write that in bold, writing, the role of fathers. So fathers in this room, you have daughters, you know, or if, even sons. And Dr. Hatice mentioned how important it is, the role of a father to nurture, because you want your daughters to also progress in her career. Imagine, I've had this conversation with a friend of mine. He is the CEO of a bank, and he has 2 daughters. And he shared his worries that I would love the best for my daughter, but when I hear there is the sexual harassment and the discrimination in the workplace, I fear that they might not be, their potential might not be optimized. So that was coming from a father. So that's a father's concern. So I think there is a very real concern about daughters and fathers. But again, the father's role is very critical. So having said that, Puan Nur Zabetha, okay, coming from the legal landscape, right? And what's your experience been, and how do you see this gender equality at leadership table? Whose battle? And is there gender equality at the leadership table from your point of view?
Assalamualaikum and very good evening, everyone. Okay, I would like to thank you. Thanks to UMS for inviting me. I feel honored to be here. My panel speaker, our moderator, Kartini, thank you very much. So now, looking at the legal perspective, okay, I would like to tell you, okay, since I was in school, yeah, during my primary school, secondary school, I really dreamed to become a lawyer. But during my teenage time, I don't have this tension about gender bias. I don't know that, all right? Because we being a youngsters, we don't know about this. And then later, because I really wanted to become a lawyer, I always watch TV, and sometimes I watch the legal drama, you know. Then sometimes I read the newspaper, but it's very rare for me to see a lady lawyer. So I keep on thinking, so where's this lady lawyer? Until I watched Datuk Azlina Othman. She's now one of the politicians, but back then, when I was 14, 15, she's a lawyer. So like Kartini said, being a girl, we want to fight the world. So I want to become a lawyer. So I start to practice. I keep on thinking, should I be the convincing lawyer? So for all you who don't know what is convincing lawyer, the lawyer that deal with property matter. I wanted to be a litigator. A litigator is the one who go to court and fight for the client, whether it's for the plaintiff, for the defendant, or defense team for the accused person. So when I start to practice, okay, in legal field, I don't feel any gender bias, I tell you honestly. And then I start to think, maybe this one, because of mindset. Because I can conclude I'm a very, I think, this is my personal opinion, I think I'm a very brave person, okay? And no is always not an answer for me. I take no not as an answer. And if my client come to me, I will advise them accordingly, whether you have your case got married or not, okay? But I'm going to represent you before the court. So throughout 15 years, being advocate and solicitors, I tell you honestly, up until today, being a lawyer, I don't feel any gender bias, okay? So then you can see, for example, nowadays, a lot of lady lawyer. And if we watch a very famous trial that got the coverage from the media, for the case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, one of his team is lady lawyer. But now, if we're talking about legal field, all right? But what about in Malaysia, other field? For example, for political field. Are we that lucky being a lady or being a woman as a political member? So now, based on the research done by AWAM, All Women Action Society, and also Pantau PRU 15. According to the research, during the PRU 15, 7.3 million voter is female, okay? And this number is equivalent to 50%. But however, our political member, the woman, is actually only 10% out of the total number. We have only 200 plus political member for being a woman, okay, compared to female. So we refer back to the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Index 2022, all right? And Malaysia is ranked number 104 out of 146. This one is for political gender equality. So that is to say, being in a legal field, I don't feel any gender bias. Okay, I want to highlight to you, last year, Malaysian Bar Council, they conducted research, okay? And then they conclude this number. And this number has been published in NST, New Straits Times. Okay, now, how many of you think, based on this conclusion, can you please raise your hand, in Malaysia, we got more male lawyer? What do you think? Whether we have a more male lawyer? Can you please raise your hand? More male first. Male.
Siapa rasa there's more male lawyers in Malaysia?
Okay, now.
Okay. Angkat tangan lah.
Okay.
Okay, kalau okay, ada dua, tiga. Okay.
All right. So now, who do you think, who think that based on that conclusion, that we have more female lawyer in Malaysia?
Okay. Yang tak angkat tangan tu, korang kat mana Ha? Atas pagar ya?
Okay. Now, based on that conclusion, published by Malaysian Bar 2022, August last year, okay, Malaysian, we have 34 million population, 34, yeah, right. So the total number of lawyers in Malaysia is almost 22,000. And 12,000 lawyers is a female lawyer, 12,000. So that 56% of the lawyer is female lawyer.
Betul lah yang angkat tangan tadi tu.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one, you got it right.
Good job,
yes.
good job.
Good job. Okay. So basically, for male lawyer is 44%. But you need to understand also, because not all lawyers, you think that they're going to fight in court. Not really. Some of them, they are litigators. Some of them are corporate lawyer. Okay? So basically for women, people know that we can do clerical work. We're very good at the office. All right? So things like that. But again, for litigation lawyer, most of it is male lawyer. Okay? Now, when we're talking about gender equality, gender bias, all right? Because just now, Kartini did mention something about sexual harassment. We cannot close our eyes on that, okay? So because sexual harassment always happen because of this discrimination, okay? You don't have much girl who tease a boy sexually for them being a boy, right? Even here, during my time when I was a teenager, let's say me and my friend walk in Kuala Lumpur, a lot of guys will say like, make sound or thing like that, flirting with us because we being a girl. Now, the journey here in Malaysia about sexual harassment, yeah? I just want to share the story, okay? So, when we talk about sexual harassment, I would like to emphasize more in the working place. Okay, now, in 1955, okay, our government enforced Employment Act 1955. And nothing in that act have anything saying about sexual harassment. No, nothing. So what happened to the lady who suffered this or being a victim of sexual harassment in workplace, in working field? All right, and then we keep quiet. Being a lady who being the victim of sexual harassment in workplace, we don't know what to do, whether we should report to the police, whether we should report to our superior, we don't know. And later on, after 57 years, yeah, 2012, then we have the amendment to Employment Act 1955 to include the definition of sexual harassment in a working place. 57 years. So now, according to this Section 2 definition of sexual harassment, sexual act in nature, whether it is verbal, okay, whether it is visual, okay, physical, that is unwanted, and the other party feel humiliated, threatened, they don't like it. And then later, in that same year, they also amend Section 81A up until Section 81G to include the responsibility of the employer in the working place. Okay, what happens if one of your employee come and then complain about sexual harassment? So, Section 81F stated that it is the duty of the employer to take action. And if the employer fails to do so, okay, then the employer will face the penalty, 57 years. Now, when we talk about sexual harassment, yeah, many years, all this while, all the sexual harassment victims, they will go to the police station and lodge a police report, all right? But sometimes, being the victim of this crime, not many women there will go and lodge a complaint and they keep quiet and silent, all right? So the movement here in Malaysia, I can say it's a bit slow, but I think it's good, all right? So in 2016, they already passed, okay, based on the federal court, yeah, one case decided. Now, I'm going to tell the story about this case. Okay, this case, if you really want to read about this case, you can search in Current Law Journal or Malaysian Law Journal. It's the case Rizwan versus Asma. What happened in this case? Sometime around 2009, okay, the superior named Dr. Rizwan, all right? So Dr. Rizwan, being a superior to Asma, okay, he always make sexual joke. He always, use a very vulgar word, right? And Asma don't feel comfortable about this. But remember, This one is 2009. It is before the amendment of 2012. Okay? So Asma not feeling good about this. She lodged a complaint to HR. And then HR conduct investigation, okay, set a disciplinary board, and according to their finding, Dr. Rizwan did not commit anything. Okay? Based on the findings, but then his contract was not extended. Okay? So Dr. Rizwan said that, see, I'm right, so I'm going to sue you for defamation because whatever that you complain about me is not right. And now my reputation is damaged. I'm going to sue you. So Dr. Rizwan bring this matter to High Court. He sued her for defamation. But Asma said, what about me? I'm a sexual harassment victim by you. So what happens is that she filed a counterclaim for sexual harassment. But I like to remind you, this is 2009, 2010, because this one is before 2012, the amendment. So during this court proceeding, so Asma filed a counterclaim. One of the arguments by the lawyer of Dr. Rizwan, he said that all this while, all the sexual victims, they only lodge a police report. There's no civil tort, no claim you can make through a court for you to ask for damages. So this matter from High Court, they bring to Court of Appeal until 2016, they bring to Federal Court. Now in Malaysia, we have hierarchy. Started with Magistrate Court, followed with Session Court, up to High Court, Federal Court, and Court of Appeal, and then Federal Court. The Federal Court is the last level of the court. And whatever the decision made by Federal Court normally is going to become a precedent. So during this proceeding in the Court of Federal Court, so the lawyer said that, okay, we don't have this civil law for sexual harassment. What Asma can do, just lodge a complaint against them. So, and then that's it, okay? So he cannot sue him. Okay. Now, the finding of Federal Court said that, based on the documents submitted before the court, we can see the email from Dr. Rizwan to say all this sexual thing. So the court is wondering why at the stage of employer, disciplinary board, didn't have this finding. And the court say, since she can justify that the wording is not a defamation, so there's no defamation. And the court say, with that, we're going to introduce thought of sexual harassment. So now we have thought of defamation. We got negligence. Negligence, let's say you're driving your car, and then you hit someone, and then someone got broken leg, you can sue them, all right? So other than that, you being a doctor, you do medical negligence, you can sue them, no problem, okay? But now, in 2016, it's a very beautiful movement, okay? The court say, okay, I'm going to introduce this. Now, fast forward, okay, what happened because of this movement, all right? Last year, in 2022, okay, they enforced a new law, Anti-Sexual Harassment Act 2022, which is enforced this year. They're going to form a tribunal for all the sexual harassment victims, okay, so that you can sue them to ask for damages, meaning being a victim of sexual harassment, you not only can lodge a complaint or to your boss, okay, you can also make a police report, you can also ask for damages. And again, this year, you can see that, okay, they enforce also Section 507A of the Penal Code for stalking. All this while, you know, some lady, or this psychopath who always follow her, okay, stalk her, media social, wait in front of the door, and then send flowers, yeah? But we don't feel flattered. We feel scared, okay? And according to this section, 507E, that one is stalking, unwanted act, okay? And that is the movement here in the country. So if you ask me about gender equality, of course, legal is one of the form how to change this perspective in our society. At the same time, if you ask me in my field, being a lawyer, okay, it's all about mindset, like Dr. Hatice just now, she mentioned. She got the support from the family. So mindset from very beginning, right? You say to yourself, I can do it. So you can do it, all right? But then of course, in terms of biological, all right, there's some restriction. For example, what we call the welder under the sea, the corner welder, right? Pengimpat juru kimpal laut. Okay, of course, this kind of job, biologically, can women do that? Of course can. But can a pregnant woman do that? Of course. Sometimes back to nature. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insights, Puan Nur Zabetha, Muhammad Noor, and Sexual Harassment Act 2022. And I remembered earlier this year, a lot of companies got in touch with me and some other colleagues because they want to roll out awareness. And I remembered during my time hosting the 3R program, that was in 2002, ladies and gentlemen, that's 20 years ago. That was the hot topic of 3R. And fast forward, it is the hot topic of 2023. So, bila agaknya kita akan stop talking about sexual harassment? And just to share with you, also, I just want to share you this story. I remembered also when I was, I'm a trainer and I was doing a 3R at that time. So we had companies, we had sponsors that came in to sponsor the show. So one of the sponsor is Ford. Ford is the car. So they want to introduce the car to women. So there were a lot of interest on women. In fact, until today, women is hot topic as well with grants and funds and support. So they want to introduce Ford car to be more women-friendly. And true enough, they have a women CEO at that time, back in 2002. And she was not local. She was from the UK. And she came and she did her rounds at the Ford factory. Okay, this is a real story. I think there's no meaning to disgrace any parties. But this is a real story. And she walked at the assembly line of the kilang of the factory. She's the CEO. She's the group CEO of Asia Pacific. And they kena sweat. Can you imagine doing that to your boss? So she was in shock. So in a position where she's the leader, she was still sexually harassed by her workers at the assembly line. So what we did, so she worked together with 3R. We conceptualized and designed sexual harassment workshop for the workers at the floor. So I had to experience as well a few workshops, and the kilang is in Penang, the factory was in Penang. And me and my colleagues, UN, I think at that time, and Rafida, we were a bit also anticipating, if you can do that to their boss, what if I start walking, and what can I expect? But because there were communication and awareness already from the top level, when we came in, they were very respectful and very open to knowing and learning what sexual harassment was about. So that was 20 years ago. So thank you for bringing that up. So, and having said that, I would like to move on to our next speaker, Datuk Dr. Hajah Tarsiah Taman, very prominent and respectable figure, the Pengurusi Majlis Penasihat Wanita Sabah. MPWS have been doing a lot of work in the field of women empowerment. Perhaps you can share with us your thoughts on the gender equality at leadership table. Someone who has been in a leadership position, a very senior position. what has been your observation? What's the trend like from before and until today? Do you see any difference?
Thank you, gorgeous moderator. Yeah, as I would like to thank, of course, UMS, Invest Sabah, and AKEPT for inviting me to be one of the panel today. And of course, my dear colleagues here, knowing them first time with Hatice and Zabetha, thank you. So I think I would like to follow up on what the other women panel members have said. Zabetha mentioned earlier that Malaysia ranked 104 out of 146 countries in gender equality. And according to the United Nations, it will take more than 100 years for us to be of equal footing, women of equal footing with the men. So I would like to share with you my experience, how I become the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of one of the largest GLC in Sabah, KKIP Berhad, of Kota Kinabalu Industrial Park Berhad. And it was a property development GLC. We were developing about 5,000 acres of land for industrial, for residential, and commercial. I went there, I joined KKIP as a senior manager, all right? And I was one of the 3 pioneers of KKIP. We worked almost 24/7 until my husband said, are you being paid 24/7 or just 8 out of the 24? You know, because at that time my children were young, were small. So I was not seeing, especially my youngest daughter, how she grew up. Then later on, as we grew, as we developed KKIP, in the year 2000, that was about 6 years later, I found out that I was not able to grow. That means walk up the ladder, because I made plans for myself. At least every 5 years, from executive level to senior executive, I must get it. And I perform accordingly, and I managed to get it. But when I was in that organization, I was not able to get it. My 2 juniors, because I was the second person, in fact, in the organization, my 2 juniors who are men, who just happened to complete their MBA, were promoted to become deputy CEO. I got my MBA in 1982. Don't count my age, please. I got my MBA in 1982. I could be one of the first Sabahan women to have an MBA. At that time, MBA, you have to be 26 years and above. I couldn't enter the MBA in UK, so I have to return to the States. And my classmates were all matured men, and nothing one woman. Not many are women. So anyway, when I come back, that's what happened. And like when that orang kata, orang Islam kata ada hikmahnya, kan? So when I didn't get the promotion, which is where I thought I would get it, and I told myself, why didn't I take my PhD? All right? So I did my PhD, and everybody was asking me, what for, what for? I said, I just have to do something. If not, I got frustrated, right? So I did my PhD. When I finished my PhD, the organization also, what shall I do with you? You're the highest educated here, you know? But I was, rezeki itu ada. So please, women, don't give up. When I took my PhD, about 1.5 years later, I became the CEO. I took over the 2 men and the men who retired. Come on, you see? So So you ladies, please, jangan give up, berusaha. Please, berusaha. And I got my PhD. Then when I finished my contract in KKIP, I was offered to become the CEO of a college. I'm not an academician. I got my PhD, but I managed to turn over from debt, orang yang banyak debt, college to become, able to even pay bonus, increment, apa semua. After 9 years, orang kata tak ada increment, tak ada bonus. Even some of them contract 9 tahun. Macam mana you ada kontrak 9 tahun? Labor law tak apply ke? I don't think the HR did practice. So anyway, that's my experience. All right. Then after that, even while I was doing my tenure in the college, I rebranded to become a technical college within 5 months. And I was glad to do it, and now it is doing well. It didn't do well when I get out of there, but now it is doing well with the current CEO. So anyway, to me, everything ada hikmah. Okay, so I always tell my children, my friends, women especially, please. And I am now the chairperson of Sabah Women Advisory Council. And I am leaving some legacies in this organization. I'm now in my 5th year in the organization. And what do I do? Asking from our moderator, what do I do? I set up Akademi Kepimpinan Wanita. Okay, we have already trained 435 young women between the age of 20 to 45 years old. And we are now in the intermediate level. Next month it will be the advanced level, and they will graduate in November. So hopefully, because we screen from 435, only probably 250 or 300 goes up. Because some of them, they kata nak jadi pemimpin. But when we teach them all these modules, they were not able to grasp it. So we screen. So we are hoping that by the lanjutan, at least half of them will be the one that we have groomed. And we will make sure the GLC that they come from, the association they come from, the government departments they come from, will take note. Jangan lagi dikata, where are your women? They ask me, where are your women? Here, I'm having a pool of women for you to choose from. So hopefully, by November, we'll have that pool of women ready for promotion. Okay? So that is another one that I'm working on in MPWS, is creating millionaires among young women entrepreneurs. And we have the second batch just graduated last year. We already have 4 of them selling more than 1 million ringgit per year. Yang kita hairan ni, yang postnatal boleh dapat 3 something million ringgit. Postnatal saja. Yang mengurut apa yang lepas women beranak tu kan. Bersalin kan. Imagine that. And jual ikan bilis. A primary 4 lady. Jual ikan bilis. Sell more than 1 million. These are the things that one from Kudat hanya lesen memandu. Kudat kampung, bukan juga bandar macam keke kan, tapi dia boleh dapat income more than 1 million. So just by tutoring people in memandu, lesen memandu. We are going for the 3rd batch next year. So where are the credits to women? Ini yang the questions. Kita nampaklah. Women, you can see from the first one, the research say less credit, even if the women speak up. Even if the women speak up, they are not given the credits. Tapi dia kata, it's easy for the women. But when the men say it, oh, the men are smart. So where are the credits to women? Even when, even when they say the same thing. So here we are. Men already are being considered to be greater than women. This is the culture, especially in the ASEAN culture. Yang men are greater than women. Okay? So where can we go from here? All right? So I'm showing you if Hatice provided us with the data in Turkey. Here I want to show with you. Tengok, I can't see actually. We have elected assemblymen, only 6% are women. I told the politicians, it is so hard to become candidates than to win the election. How can we win if we cannot become candidates? So here we are, only 6% are elected. Then in Sabah, we have a special nominated assemblymen. Oh, women, okay? Only 1% or 16.7% is a woman. So you can see lah, mana credits, where do the credits go for? So as a result, you can see the cabinet. Chief Minister, of course, only one. Chief Minister. Deputy Chief Minister, 3 men. Not even 1 woman. Marah aku ni. Alright? And then, Minister, we have only 1 woman out of the 7 posts. 6 belong to the men, only 1 woman. Assistant Minister, there are 18 Assistant Minister, only 2 are women. 16 are men. Jangan marah ya, Datuk. I'm just showing, I am in the Sabah, kita punya data. We are talking about how can we give credits, even promotions or awards, when the results is clear here. All right? So next one, I already mentioned 18 of them. I have even the names of each assistant minister. Only two are women. Previously, one Datuk Julita and Datuk Flobia was from one ministry. That ministry has 2 assistant ministers. Only recently, they separate her to become the assistant minister for Ministry of Finance. Again, here, you can see, these are the decision makers. I'm talking about the higher posts, the top management. Again, State Secretary, memanglah 1. Can a woman become a State Secretary? Tak tahulah. I don't know. All right? Out of the Deputy State Secretary, only 1 woman. Itu pun every time that woman is given that Deputy Secretary, it's always that she is on the verge of retiring. Betul tak? If you all know the women who has held that position. These are my friends. Either they stay there for 1 year or 1.5 years. Apalah kesenambungan kalau begitu. Right? So these are the permanent secretary. Now, out of the 11 permanent secretary, only 1 woman. Aduh, sedih bah kita kalau pikir begini kan. Okay? Deputy permanent secretary, barulah kita nampak 40%. But yet, do we know, will they go up? Ada just now, Hatice said, when we start, I told this to the others, when we start, we masuk into employment into the government service, let's say 60% are women, 40% are men. Masuk, ah? Then when they were go up, 90% men, 10% women. What happened to the women? Yes, we can understand. Some women rejected the offer because of family life. We can understand. Tapi tak akanlah 10% saja. If we can get 20-25%, why not? Yes? So this is what happened. Even the district officer, can you imagine of the 24 district office in Sabah, only 2 are women. Itu pun just recently, about 2-3 years back. Dulu tak ada ni, all men. Alright? Assistant district officer. Out of the 11 posts, 100% are men. So when will the woman become a district officer? Imagine that. So again, even the GLCs, there are 19.5%. This, we are talking about the senior position. When I was the CEO of AKEPT and Berhad, I think I was the only one at that time as a woman. And I was just lucky lah makali to become the CEO at that time. Imagine, kan? So this is happening in Sabah. Happening in Sabah. So then here, it is also asked in the question, the state awards. State awards ni, tengok. SPDK, Datuk Seri Panglima. Okay? Yang baru-baru, the year 2022, last year. Nanti bulan 10 ada lagi lah. Alright? Kosong, no woman was given Datuk Seri Panglima. The year before, there is 1 woman, Datuk Seri Panglima Aziza. Okay? Then, PGDK, to get Datukship. 13, only 16% are given to women. Yang ASDK, only, this one 22.9%, about 23%. As the data goes, only yang tinggi ialah BK, more than 30%. Yang kecil-kecil bah, itu yang adalah women, more than 30%. So this is the thing that we must look. MPWS is looking into this, right? We fight, and this is what they call, mana, where is your women? Now, I set up the Academy Kepimpinan Wanita. Next year, tak ada sebab lagi dia kata, no women. Alright? Sekurang-kurangnya, I hope IDS will promote some of the women because there are 2 or 3 from IDS. Alright? So please, alright. So glass ceiling. Do we have a glass ceiling? To me, the glass ceiling bukan lagi glass. It become fiberglass. Yang tak boleh pong, so you cannot break.
Tempered glass.
Tempered glass.
Yeah.
Ataupun concrete, tak lama lagi become concrete. Imagine from the data, it's very difficult for the woman to go up. So I agree. We still have the glass ceiling, and it is become very hard now. Very thick, tempered, or even concrete. I call it concrete. Now, there are why the glass ceiling exists. Because some women, even with college degree, they choose the fields that offers lower income. I don't know. Why should you take a lower income? These are research studies. Sebab they maybe they feel that it's easier because of the family life. You know, you got to be ambitious. You got to plan your career. I will talk about it later. There is also psychological difference. And our pay is more than 10% different. When I became the CEO, I fought for what the CEO, men CEO got. They wanted to give me lower. How can I have to fight for that? And I got it lah. You have to fight for it because you deserve it. All right? Don't think that you don't deserve it. Okay? And then I understand there are family issues that you have to handle. I have 4 children. I have a supporting husband. You need that. You need your husband to support you. When I did my PhD, I did it on my bed. So my husband always tell his friend, my wife occupied 3/4 of our bed because I study on bed. I don't know why, I study on bed, not on the table or whatever. All my laptop there lah, semua lah, my reference material. So my husband always tell my friends, and then my friends say, wah, kesian, such a pity for your husband. Itulah Datuk, the sacrifice the man has to give. Okay, so the glass ceiling, it's still there. So how do we break the glass ceiling? These are the barriers. There is gender discrimination, unequal pay, there is lack of flexible working option. There are now flexible working options. But then again, when you are in the senior position, how can you work 8 to 5? You still have to have extra hours, right? Or else the men say, nah, that's why women cannot go up. You can only work 8 to 5. That's it. Don't give the men a reason. Sorry, men, around here, sorry. I'm just talking through my experience. And there is unconscious bias. As you said earlier, that, men are better or greater. And finally, the word patriarchy. Inilah, this is the problem that we are having culturally or consciously, whatever you say, li. All right? Because we always think that man has a higher position. I told my friends, I want my man beside me. Not behind me, not in front of me. I don't agree behind every man's punya better, there is a woman behind. Don't agree to that. Please, women, do not agree. You must be next to the man. Datuk, must be next to the man. Why do you want to be behind? Sorry, man. I don't want to be behind. I told my husband, I'm next to you, I hold on to you. All right? Jangan biarkan dia di depan. Mentang-mentang lah sudah over the edge, dia kasi tinggal kita belakang. Dia jalan depan. No. I must be beside you. Don't walk in front of me. All right? That is my requirement with my husband. Oi, nanti don't tell that to Zen, Jangan, Aku takut kami nanti beritahu. All right? So this is the glasses. How do you overcome? So women, these are some of the things that we can do. All right? I cannot really read there. Oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, stand up for yourself. Speak up. Inilah budaya kita, our culture yang very meek, whatever. But please, do stand up and speak up. And then you have to stand up for others and also speak up. You have to talk more about the work you do. Don't be shy. Even if you make mistakes, you can at least remedy that. All right? Men pun make mistakes. Kenapa women cannot make mistakes, right? So we do that. And then you have to build your network. You must have a shout-out group. We women must be together. Jangan women ni ada yang dengki-dengki ni yang always gosip-gosip ni. Yeah, you can gossip but gossip yang konkret lah. Alright, so we have to have that. And lastly, you must believe in yourself. Yeah, believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, siapa lagi you nak bagi deh? Alright, so I'm just going through because I know the timing is already late. It's not working. What happened? Okay, so how do you accelerate? Like what I did. Education. If you are doing your degree now, do your master's. If you are doing your master's now, try to do your PhD. It's so cheap to study now. You know, when I studied my PhD, the internet I use every month cost me 600 ringgit. Now free kan Di office pun ada wifi, di mana ada wifi. It cost me 600 ringgit per month to pay Telekom. Dulu Telekom sih ada lah. Internet, the year 2000. Alright? You must have mentorship program. Go and find some women or men, for that matter, who can mentor you. Who can mentor you how to accelerate yourself to become somebody. You must trust that mentor lah. Alright? I'm okay, you can call me if you want me to become mentor. And then professional networking. Women, don't just network among yourself. We, like me, I call it gang happy. Gang happy, my women consist of different background, even different religion, different race. You have to learn from each other. If you are just among yourself, yang you are so familiar with, you will never grow. So please think about it. How do you do to accelerate? This is acceleration lah. All right? So I think I'm going to last. Okay, conclusion. Okay, conclusion, moderator. I just want to say here. Women has to work harder. Never mind. But smarter. Remember the word. You work harder, but smarter. To accelerate in their progression. Women has to grab every opportunity rather than waiting for the luck in getting the opportunity. Don't wait. You look for it. Women must prioritize their career in tandem with their family commitments. I'm not saying that you must neglect your family. Please do your own time management, whatever you can. Make sure that your husband support you, all right? Or your partner support you, or your family support you, all right? So then women has to reevaluate the patriarchal mindset and culture. Don't think men are greater than women. Finally, women empower women. All right? Who else can empower you? Don't be selfish to other women. If she becomes the CEO, you should be happy. Your turn will come. Your turn will come. So I believe women must help each other. Women empower women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, I think that was insights and motivation at the same time. And I think I must highlight there were a lot of things that Datuk mentioned just now, but I think twice or three times she mentioned the role of support. If Dr. Hatice mentioned about father, Datuk mentioned about the role of husbands. And I really think this is, again, this forum is not for ladies, it's for the men because your support is so crucial in ensuring that women leapfrog and quantum leap to gain a leadership role, and also not only leadership role, even in the research that I did, a lot of women fall out from the workplace because of the dual barrier. One is motherhood penalty, and the other one is caring for their elderly parents. Especially in Asia, we have to take care not only of our own parents, we also take care of our in-laws. So a lot of it, culturally, because women are then known to be the nurturer, they take on the caretaking. And I think I could attribute that to the stats that Datuk was sharing. You know, slides after slides, you know, it's like zero. So I think that segued nicely to AP Datuk TS, Dr. Ramzah Dambul. We can see that so passionately Datuk Hajah Tarsiah was talking about how she even put out points macam mana women can progress, you know, and a lot of it is to do with greed. Even in your own, you must really want it, right? But for Datuk Dr. Ramzah, what is the implication to the country or even globally when there is a huge misrepresentation or underrepresentation of women in the workforce what more in the leadership table?
Okay, Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang semua. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Susah juga ni kan, being the only man in all female lah kira ni.
There's a support.
But anyway,
we
okay.
need your support, husband, wife,
That
everyone.
question is very big, very broad, but I want to probably, actually I prepare for that one. Tapi macam all my points are already taken by them. They have already talked about issues, challenges, and what they should do. So probably, I would just like to bring us to the fundamental issue of ni. Sedih saya dengar tadi tahu, Datuk Tarsia said that it takes 100 years before we can be in the same footing with men. And that is very, very sad. Because we have so many capable women here. Di atas pentas ini pun ada kan. And even now, Universiti pun 80% women tahu. Sebenarnya can go up to 90% based on merit. Tapi sebab ialah we are living in a male-dominated world, jadi dia buatlah polisi supaya tinggikan kelayakan untuk wanita, so they still can get men. I think during the 80s, 90s, it is 50-50 or more male lah di university 60-40. But then towards the end of new millennium, women makin meningkat lah. So what I'm trying to say is, with all that talent that we have and the potential, it is so sad that we still have in this situation. Tapi that is what I'm going to share today. I'm going to tell you what is the fundamental behind this. Ini saya punya pandangan lah, not based on my experience working with the federal as a bureaucrat, also in academic, both at the state level and also federal. It is about policy and the way we approach things. Okay, yang pertama sekali, I think the fundamental issue, why we are still at where we are now, sedih tahu. 20 years ago, kita punya di parlimen tu, negeri tadi sudah dibagi tahu kan sendunya penyertaan wanita kita. Tapi even at the national level, parlimen, 20 years ago, women is 10%, 11%. Sekarang ini pun 30%. 3% saja naik dalam tempoh 20 tahun. And that is very, very sad. Jalan raya di kampung saya itu pun, kan, di pedalaman di itu pun, sudah naik lebih daripada 30% for the last 20 years, kan. Dulu dia cuma jalan tanah merah, sekarang ini jalan gravel lah. And I think that is a significant change, kan. Tapi jalan saya itu, nobody is advocating for it. Kecuali orang kampung dan kami inilah, apa semua tu kan. So, it is justified that we only achieve that percentage lah. Women, 3% saja dalam 20 tahun and everybody is advocating it. Forum di sana sini, what is happening? Okay, the first one is fundamental issue. Saya kata sebab there are a lot of misconception about gender equality punya struggle. Tidak payahlah kita mengumpat Jawa, saya mengumpat program ini sendiri. Betul, serius. So we can relate to it, kan. Saya tanya kawan saya kata, bila saya dijemputlah untuk ni kan, actually kan, I cannot join this. Sebab minggu depan pun, I have another gender punya equality which is organized by IDS, and I also will be one of the speaker, macam melampau-lampau pula saya di sana kan. And tomorrow I have event in KL, so I have to rush to the airport after this kan. Tapi sebab ini penting, I'm a great supporter of gender equality, and the reason is nanti selepas ini saya bagi tahulah kan. So saya datang juga kan. Tapi saya kata, kenapa satu orang saja lelaki? Kan ada 4 orang, why not ada 2 kah? Oh, because this is gender equality. Minta maaf lah Zalifah, nanti marah pula. So we want to have man perspective in it. See? Gender equality, it is all about woman. Lelaki ni kan macam, oh we just want your perspective. Ibaratnya we are not even the main ingredient. And that is where the problem is. Sedangkan to get gender equality, we need everybody. Kan? Especially, kita semua pun mengaku bahawa kita sekarang ini adalah male-dominated world. So they are the game changer of gender equality. But every time we talk about gender equality, kami meminta lah perspektif lelaki, bolehkah join kami ni? Macam perencah-perencah saja, kan? Bukan main ingredient. Sama juga, even my IDS next week, saya tengok dalam tu kan, it is the entire program is about gender equality. So we have several forums lah dalam tu. Saya kata, kenapa kamu ada 3 sesi yang all female? Oh, because this is gender. Saya cakap, no. Sebab di IDS itu, and we are the first one dalam semua agensi di Sabah ini, JLC, yang we have, bila saya masuk di sana kata, I want to have in this IDS ni, saya cakap ada 2 benda. Satu is gender equality punya policy, specifically stated, and also for orang kelainan upaya. I know that we have already have that in the law, kan, apa semua tu kan. Tapi saya kata, I want it to be specifically di peringkat sini supaya we can really operationalize it. So, tengok mau juga tunggu kan, apa tu CEO lelaki juga yang ada. Kita ada ramai CEO wanita GLC AJ Sabah tu, tapi they don't have it. Kalau federal punya UMS is the first one in Sabah lah. Tapi okay. Itulah sebab isu dia ialah we are looking at gender equality as perempuan, woman. So saya kata perlu ada lelaki juga dalam ni because it is about equality. Lepas tu diorang letak saya sebagai jadi panelist pula, CEO dia pula, because it is already last minute kan. So, terpaksa lah kan. Tapi itu saya kata, the first misconception is gender equality ini is, normally it is all about woman. It is the woman punya struggle, it is the game changer will be woman kan. Selagi kita ada macam tu, we will need 100 years before we can transform that. So change that. The second one is, the problem is, kita selalu rasa gender ini tidak penting. Dalam mana-mana kan, oh kalau isu gender ni, ini macam afterthought atau benda-benda yang ni kan. Dan sekali lagi saya mengumpat program ini. Kita, dalam program ini we are talking about diversity. Because we believe that if we can glue the diversity kan, and then we will get a better output dalam apa-apa pun kan. Tapi kenapa gender ini letak di tempat yang ketiga ni kan? Kita punya policy maker, tengok kursi kita kosong sudah di sini. All the game changer is not ready ni. Pagi kan kita cakap, saya tengoklah di sini kan dalam tu kan, we are talking about cultural diversity. We also talking about generation punya gap. That is all diversity kan. Tapi adakah itu lebih penting daripada gender? Mesti orang akan persoalkan, alah, gender ni walaupun kita letak akhir, dia sebenarnya penutup lebih penting. No, I don't believe in you. Kalau kita rasa agenda itu penting, dia mesti pertama. Dan speakers mesti semua yang powerful. Kenapa mesti hari pertama? Because all the policy maker, the people that can really bring the voice to upper level tu ada di sana. Kita pun tahu, tengok ni siapa yang ada di... Saya minta maaf lah, bukanlah saya meremah-remahkan. Thank you so much for being here. Tidaklah juga saya merajukkan. So, tengok. Gender, benda yang ni. I would say that compared to cultural diversity atau generation gap, gender is more important that we can really be a game changer untuk productivity kita. Kenapa? Sebab dalam SDG pun gender specifically mention. Mana ada cultural diversity di situ? Mana ada generation diversity di situ? So kita mau melawan lagi SDG. SDG itu daripada brand satu dunia tahu. They have already assessed everything. And that is also the kiblat of all our policy. Tapi itulah kita di sini ni. Kita letakkan gender ni macam... dan yang lebih sedih lagi, tu pengarah dia tu. Pengarah dia wanita, tu Kamisa. This is how women sabotage their own agenda. Seriously, sebab tu saya cakap, sebenarnya isu gender equality ini is nothing to do about men kan. Kadang-kadang women dia sabotage their own agenda. Dan kadang-kadang diorang tidak sedar. Tapi Kamisa, don't take it personal lah. Jangan pula sentap. Because this is not just you. Dalam banyak lagi program-program yang lain, samalah juga tu. Gender hujung-hujung tidak penting apa semua. Kan? So, itulah sebabnya kita perlukan 100 tahun. So, satu, kita kata misconception, gender equality is only about women. Kedua, gender is not as important macam ni kata, betul cultural diversity itu penting, generation gap itu penting, tapi saya kata ini lebih penting. Sebab tu ada dalam SDG kan, saya kata, tapi we don't really look it that way. Di mana-mana pun cuba pergi tengok seminar-seminar, gender ni sisip-sisip tahu. Nasib baiklah kita ni buat satu tempat saja di sini. Kalau kita ni ada beberapa room, gender ni mesti dapat bilik yang paling kecil dan paling jauh. Serius. Kalau tidak percaya, you look at it. And now, the third one, and this is about fundamental issue juga yang we really need to address. When we are trying to advocate for gender equality, women empowerment, kita selalu punya, the way we do it is actually macam mana tahu? Kita punya approach is kota, kota, kota. Our approach is trying to create a specific platform where women can grow, where women can set their footing dalam tu. I don't think that the approach is ni. What we should do is, jangan cakap pasal kota, bagi kota 30% lah, bagi kota ini berapa peratus lah, or we must have this platform for women. No. What we should do is, jangan cakap pasal kota ni, tapi we should do away with all the barriers yang menghalang empowerment wanita ini. Faham kan maksud saya kan? Kan, sebab isu dia sekarang ini, I know sebab saya dalam policy making tahu. Saya dulu di kementerian. Lepas tu sekarang ini saya lagi di state, and that is one of apa yang kita mau advocate, dan saya sangat kecewa baru-baru ni sebab one of the things that we advocate ialah untuk kita punya ni yang baru Datuk cakap tadi itu kan, 1/3 untuk semua women di local government apa semua kan. Sudah letak dalam polisi, they still cannot ni. Kenapa tidak boleh? Because we don't have enough women yang boleh masuk dalam tu. Kenapa tidak cukup women to take that quota yang sudah dibagi itu? Because you don't have policy on empowerment. Kamu cuma sediakan platform sahaja, tapi kamu tidak ibaratnya macam ni lah. Okay, di atas platform ini we want 6 ekor itik dan juga 6 ekor arnab. Ada kota sudah ni. So it is fair for everyone kan. Isu dia kalau air di sana tu kan, kamu tidak buang, selamanya lah itik tu saja yang boleh pergi naik atas kan. Sebab arnab, they cannot berenang. So saya kata, it is not, don't make policy on ni. Dan kita ada banyak polisi yang, sebab itu, sebagai seorang yang sangat, I support gender equality. Sampai orang cakap kata, apa masalah kamu ni kan? Kau sendiri pun belum jumpa wanita yang boleh nikah-nikah, tapi nikah-nikah. Kamu ni pro sangat dengan wanita kan? No, saya bukan pro wanita, saya bukan pro gender equality. Saya pro productivity. Saya pro a good practice in organisation so we can produce more. Dan semua penyelidikan kita mengatakan bahawa if we have gender balance in any organisation, you will produce better. Sama ada di peringkat negara, di peringkat organisasi, di peringkat sekecil-kecilnya. And that is why saya kata I want gender equality. Not because saya ni pro sangat wanita, not because I believe that women are better than men. No. Atau men is better than women. No, that is not the issue. The issue is I believe that when we have that gender balance in organisation, we can produce better. Then that is good for everyone. Macam saya sebagai CEO, baguslah untuk saya kan. So I will do anything that will help me to produce better for my organisation. Lah, tadi mana sudah saya mau cakap tadi tu? Ya, so itulah tadi itu kan. We really need to do that. Yeah. When I was in kementerian, selama ini saya mau bagi tahu sebab women ni kan baguslah Datuk Tarsia tadi kan, women empower women kan. Tapi itu yang 100 tahun tu Datuk Tarsia. Because actually kan, kalau ikut kajian, women ini yang tidak mau empower women. Kalau ikut kajian, 80% sahaja, only 80% women believe that women can be leader. Okay? 100%, dia ada dua soalan yang ditanya. Soalan dia tanya, do you believe that men can be a leader? Second tu ada, do you believe that woman can be a leader? 80%, 100% wanita tu tadi dia kata men okay, tapi 80% saja yang cakap kalau woman kan. So itulah dia punya that is the issue lah. So it is not so much all that misconception tu lah. Saya mau cakap apa tadi tu? Okay, my experience di kementerian. When I was in ministry, dia ada dua bahagian tau di ministry tu, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation kan. So I take in charge of science. And within my ecosystem, all my SUB, pengarah-pengarah lepas saya itu kan, 60-40. 60 women, 40 ni. Bukan saya buat macam tu, tapi because I can see the potential, so saya lebihkan sikit lah ni sebab I know that the other wings tu is male dominated. Bukan sebab saya mau melebihkan wanita, tapi macam saya kata tadi, it is the balance of the organisation that eventually provide you the productivity. So saya punya pemikiran ke arah itu. When I was in UMS, under my portfolio, penyelidikan dan inovasi, saya ada 11 pegawai utama di sana, 4 sahaja lelaki, yang selebihnya adalah wanita. Sampai orang cakap tidak balance ni kan, kata terlampau lebih ni kan, kalau kamu ni pun pro sangat wanita pun, at least make it 50-50 lah. Saya kata tidak apalah sebab diorang layak. Lagipun the other ecosystem tu is male dominated. So let my portfolio to balance, because at the end of the day I also want to see UMS to be productive kan. Sekarang ni di IDS sebab saya sudah buat tu kan, so I have 11 top level decision maker, 11. 5 adalah wanita, 6 adalah lelaki. And I want to keep it that way. Sebab itu saya kata I don't really, the thing is, saya mau cakap tadi itulah. Saya tahu kita ni kan sudahlah, saya kena pergi.
Saya concern juga dengan Datuk.
Ya, okey, saya mau habis sudah ni. So sebab tu saya kata tadi, I don't really put actually yang kota-kota tu that is the byproduct. Tapi the main things yang saya buat tu kan, I try to eliminate all the barriers yang menyebabkan ini kan. Banyak kita punya polisi negara-negara ni sebenarnya yang still not on, dia tidak empower women, tapi dia bagi platform sahaja, tapi tidak empower. Contoh-contoh polisi ini LASA, maternity leaves ya. Kenapa perempuan kalau lepas dia melahirkan anak, dia dapat 90 hari kah untuk cuti? Lelaki cuma 10 hari sahaja. You are putting women disadvantage. Sebab basically you are saying lepas kamu ada beranak ni, wanita itu sudah tidak ada pilihan sekarang ini. Dia terpaksa 90 hari akan cuti tahu. And because of this also create perception that susahlah perempuan ni kalau jadi pengurus ni nanti dia beranak 90 hari kena ni kan. Why don't we just put parents punya cuti lepas beranak tu adalah 100 hari. It is up to you, sama ada suami kah, isteri kah yang mau ambil lebih banyak kah, kan? Because maybe based on your decision, if your wife is in a better position untuk naik, mungkin dia perlukan cuti yang lebih sikit, kan? I mean, you get what I mean. But at least adalah, you see what my point is. So saya cakap, why it takes 100 years for us to be equal, dan semua struggle that you share just now is because that the fundamental is still not right. And that 3 fundamental yang saya sebut tadi, we really need to reform that, the way we think and the way we approach. Thank you.
Thank you so much. AP Datuk TS, Dr. Ramzah, Dambul, banyak juga, very passionate. You know, I think we're so lucky, despite the fact that today's conference, today's session, forum, is so rich, penuh dengan everybody's talking from the heart. And I'm sure everyone here as well is receiving from the heart, tapi tak ada yang ambil hati lah. Because we are here for discussion. We are putting it out because there's no point having a conference where we are not shaking anything. Because the point of an intellectual discourse is we take things and then we improve. And I'm sure the next coming conference is going to be mind-blowing. I mean, it is already mind-blowing, but penambahbaikan, yeah? So, thank you so much for that. And I think Datuk highlighted about, answered the question that I asked in the beginning. What is the implication? But I think you counter it and you answered the question is, sekiranya ada this misrepresentation, it will affect productivity. And you are pro-productivity. You are pro-best practice. Because best practice says diversity, inclusion and diversity, you know, having one gender or having one race ataupun having one person in the same, bagi macam Datuk Tarsia also mentioned, you pun kena variety your group. You cannot be in a group where you're comfortable because then only we will grow. So it is 5 minutes to 4 o'clock and Datuk Ramzah, thank you so much because despite having to take a flight at 6 o'clock, he's here because this is his passion and he knows that he wants to get the message across. And I think banyak benda yang kita boleh lihat from his perspective. So I would like to open the floor to participants. Maybe we can take 2 or 3 questions for our panelists. Maybe take about 10 to 15 minutes for this. Is that okay, Datuk? Are you okay with that? Yep. Yep. So, ada anybody, anyone, if you can just go to the mic, introduce yourself. Jangan takut. Any question that you want to ask from the forum, from the discussion that we had, please go to the mic, introduce yourself, and please ask the question. Anyone? Wah, semuanya very clear lah kita punya panelists ini. And I would like to emphasize again on what Datuk Tarsia mentioned just now. Speak up. So this is an opportunity as well, and kita open the floor to both male and female, women and men. So if you are still crafting your question, I'm going to ask a question that I've had also in relation to the research that I did about cultural and institutional barriers. And I think Datuk Tarsia mentioned about the patriarch because for many years, leadership have always been very masculine. So we see leaders as having a certain traits that is very masculine. So if zaman-zaman Hercules, at that time you can see gagah perkasa, sador with so much muscle, they have to fight. We don't see a woman or a feminine figure being leading. So I would like to also share the quote by Marian Wright Edelman, the founder of president of the Children's Defense Fund. She said, "You can't be what you can't see." So if there's no role model, if our girls, our young women cannot see a role model that, they will ask, can I be a leader? Because I don't see many out there. So what do you have to say about this mindset or this perception of leadership being masculine, and how can we create more neutral and we can have more visual role models as well, so that the women say, I want to be like her. If they have so few, they have very limited choice. So bagaimana, how can we encourage more of this? Any panel?
Yeah, all right. I was a CEO, and it is property development, which is a man's world. Construction lah, technical lah, you have to go to the site, you have to inspect the place. So it's more to masculine. How do I overcome masculinity? I have men with me. I have my deputy as men. I have the engineers as men, but I do have women engineers. So if I work in a team, why must I do it myself? I have a solid team who can help me in the masculinity. But women, be careful. You must learn, if you are in the property development, what are the technical aspects, what are the bylaws, what are the engineering terminologies, and even I can count how many panels of plywood to go to that end. All right? This room, how many square feet, I can visualize. So women, even if you have men supporting you, you have also to be knowledgeable on what you do. That's how you overcome masculinity.
Thank you. Thank you, Datuk. I think we have a question from the floor. So would you like to address any of the panelists?
Is it okay if I ask a question? So I'm just curious, can I ask the panel the why question? Because I'm curious to understand why gender equality. Because I tried to understand the panel. I'm not sure whether we or the panel agrees in terms of the why, which is a different question from the how we will get to there. So maybe if I can ask, maybe a short, maybe brief answer like, why
is this important?
Why should we pursue this together?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So maybe we can get a short input from the panelists.
Okay, very short. Why gender equality? Because at the moment we are not equal when it comes to women and men in many sectors. And that is why we have gender equality. And why this is an agenda? Because we don't have it yet. Am I answering that question?
And I think, Datuk, you also mentioned about the fact that the productivity, in terms of productivity, when you have a balance, you cannot, if it's unbalanced, then it will be just one perspective, just one voice. Or the best practice, and from research also mentioned that when you have equality, there will be a better working environment, everybody's represented. So I, summarizing that, the why. So it's that any of the panelists want to add on? Why is this important? Why? Why are we pursuing this?
Can I answer this? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Richard Cruz, right? Okay, now, different country, different culture, maybe they have different perspective, okay? Now, if we talk about gender equality, maybe in Malaysia, to my point of view, I think it is okay. But just now, Datuk Haja already shared about gender equality in political area, okay? But now, coming back to the first question, I summarized the question and also your question. Okay, now, why is it so? How for us to change the society, all this while we think that the man is more masculine in terms of leadership, okay? Maybe to answer to that question, because some of the ladies, women, girl, has not been given opportunity, okay? Now, I would like to refer to history of Rwanda. What happened to this country? All this while in Rwanda, before in 1994, the woman has no right to speak in front of the public, like what we're doing now. We cannot speak. And even if they want to open account bank, they need to ask for the husband permission and also the authorization from the husband. Up until 1994, okay, then become a genocide. 800,000 men was killed in that genocide. Now, the country left with 60 to 70% of women population. Man is not around. So previously, no doctor, no woman doctor, no woman military. So now what happened? Because they have no choice. Earlier, they are not given chance. And then later, what happened is that the women start to go and work as a soldier, as a police. So they are concerned in that country. Why gender equality? Because woman is not given equal right. Okay? Now, after 1994, I refer to the World Forum just now, global gender gap. Rwanda is one of the best countries who practice gender equality. They have about 50 to 60% in their parliament, women. Okay, women who have become a politician and also a parliament member. All right. So now in our country, why we're concerned about this gender equality? Because we close our eyes, a lot of things will happen. Like I mentioned, sexual harassment. Who's going to fight for us? Who's going to fight for our daughter, children? Okay. And another thing, I would like to add to Datuk Haja Tarzia. She gave a lot of, how for us to become empowered for women. One of the things I would like to add is that you start from a younger age. Okay? Now, any one of you ever watched Mulan? I love that movie. As a child, I love that movie because it gave me hope. I think as a girl, I also can go and fight. I can also carry the work as a man to become a soldier. And here in Malaysia, we also got Cerita Rakyat, Cik Siti Wan Kembang. It is a very good story. So I got a daughter, okay? Sometimes she thinks that she's a girl. Mommy, I cannot do this because I'm a girl, I'm not a boy. I said to her, you can do anything, okay? Put your mindset that you can do anything, unless your body don't allow you to do so, okay? So I buy for her a book, the book titled, This Girl Can. So sometime before we sleep, I'm going to read for her this book. So I can see the impact, okay? She's just like 5 years old, turned to be 5 this year, October. So she said, I want to do rock climbing, okay, 5 years old. And the place is a bit high. She wear the harness. I think she feels scared when she see the rock climbing. Okay, and then I can see from far, she keep on doing like this. I can do it, I can do it. She closed her eyes, she keep on saying that, I can do it, I can do it, okay? And then she try and climb because nothing can stop her. The mindset, we start from early age, okay? So now ask back to ourselves, what type of movie that we ask our children to watch, or we permit our children to watch, whether we allow our children to watch TikTok all the time with dancing and all the things. You see, come back to the history. People in Rwanda previously, they never know that actually we women, we can do a lot of things. Actually, we can run the country. They don't know that until they're giving opportunity. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that insight, Puan Nur Zabetha. Thank you, Prof. Richard, for that question. Any question? Maybe I'll take the last question.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Datuk Ramzah because I was going to ask you, what is it can you please deep dive into the mind of the man when we talk about gender equality, why from the body language that I see in the hall, many are kind of tuned off, right? But I think you shared a very important fundamentals that probably now I need to see from your perspective that made me understand more that, you know, the way we've been conducting also, maybe that's why, you know, putting gender in the last, you know, and actually some of the things you mentioned, I absolutely quite agree, it's quite brilliant. Just to share, of course, the number of girls in the universities now is 70% in Malaysia. And that is not just Malaysian data, it's like all over the world also you see more women now coming to the universities. We do face a leaky pipeline, as mentioned by our Turkish panel, that we have 80,000 academicians or academics in the country, but we have 50-50 entrance into the universities as academics, But at the end of the day, when you want to become professor, we now have only 36% because of the leaky pipeline. And the leaky pipeline is because most of the women cannot cope with the work-life balance that they are faced with, right? My question now is to bring the panel to the title, which is Gender Equality at Leadership Table. That means if push comes to shove, and you have only 36% professors, but at the end of the day, coming to the post of number one for the university, for example, just give an example, or CEO of an organization, coming to that leadership table, you got a list of men and women being interviewed, right? At the end of the day, sometimes the man gets it, sometimes the woman gets it. But at the end of the day, it's still about unconscious biasness. Because it depends who the panel is. If the panel is all men asking questions, then the question they ask can actually disfavor the women candidate. And most of the time in Malaysia, in the panel, it's not enough women to be on the panel. And you are also right, Datuk Ramzah, that at the end of the day, some women also do not support women to be leaders. So back to this question about at the leadership level, right? Unconscious biasness. I need to deep dive from the mind of the man, all right? What is happening here? Are you looking, if the panel is fair, then they say, okay, merit. Based on what is there, that's the one they will promote. But at the end of the day, kalau it's not kind of merit, and you have a lot of intangibles coming in, right? How do they make decisions like this? Because if we continue with unconscious biasness, which is absolutely denial that they were not being fair, right? So it's kind of difficult for more women to go up. And as a result, you see what you see today, asking for gender equality, quota of not even equality, but rather gender parity, right? 30%. So 30% means CEOs are 28%, women in the public sector is 32%. So we achieve gender parity at government sector, but not at the CEO level. And even LGU, board members of the university, when I was the DG, I keep asking for where is the gender parity at least for women to be in the LPU. Again, not achievable, right? Not very many LPU has women on it. So these are the kind of things, who's going to make sure things happen? So again, what is your thoughts about unconscious biasness that actually probably disfavor women to get out there?
Thank you so much. I believe this question is for you, Datuk. Memang tak boleh lari lah.
Datuk Asma, that is a very tricky question. And I can't really, I can provide answer that representative for everyone lah, lelaki kan. Tapi I think this is based on my experience lah, and within being in the circle of men. I think one of the, I totally agree with you that they have this biasness tau, yang sometimes they don't want to admit it, they don't even realize it, but it is there. I think, tapi jangan marah saya pasal ini ya. One of the reason, there are many reasons for that. Tapi from my own view lah, tapi very fortunate that I managed to eventually get rid of that biasness lah, because I try to understand why we need gender equality in organization and everything. Tapi tidak ramai ni. One of the reason come from the women themselves. Kalau kita tengok, if we look at the movement gender equality from women punya side, what is the sentiment? They want to become men. Actually, that really put off men tau. Because you want to be equal sebagai man, tapi not as a woman. You want to be man, macam tu tau. For me, the movement should be, the way you approach that woman equality is, we are women, we have certain unique characteristics that men don't have. And that is why we should take us. That is why we should fit into. Tapi kalau kita lihatlah secara keseluruhan, whether you want to admit or not, women tidak, they want to become men. Sebab itulah kita ada orang lelaki ada bola sepak, perempuan pun mau ada bola sepak dia. Mana ada lelaki mau main bola jaring? Mana ada lelaki mau juga, kami pun mau juga gimnastik ritmetik kan? No. If that is belong to women, ni lah. So you get what I mean? Saya tahu itu contoh bodoh lah kan. Tapi that is how I want to illustrate that we want to be equality. Because kami ni berdiri sama dengan lelaki. Kami sama macam lelaki. Sama macam lelaki. You get that? Which is actually no. Kita tidak sama. But you have something that you can offer that the man tidak ada. And that is why the man needs you. Kan? Rugby pun kita mau main. Kami tidak mau pergi yang. Tapi okay lah yang itu tu. Just ni lah. So I think that is something that the entire movement, women agenda that you really need to look into. Kadang-kadang kita tidak cakap itu secara direct, tapi daripada apa yang kita buat tu, it come across that sentiment to the men, kan? So, again, this is fundamental. That is the challenge for the woman. How you want to craft that movement? Bolehkah saya pergi sudah? Sebab saya punya pegawai di sini ni balik-balik sudah membubut saya ni. I need to go. Can I go?
You're going to leave. Okay, so before Datuk.
To add to Datuk punya tu kan tadi.
Okay. Kena tahan.
Iya, bah, dengar lebah kan. Unconscious bias, so I mentioned it there kan. Unconscious bias sangat-sangat susah lah. It's so difficult to get rid unless we are attuned to it. And then I agree with Datuk. Women has your own uniqueness. Why must we become masculine? Why must we become men? Orang bilang tinggi sama rata sama men. No. Kalau you pendek-pendek lah bahkan. Tak mesti you become tall as the man. I want to point out juga when Datuk Asma mentioned, even lembaga panel di UMS, I asked tau, how many are women? So I hope the policymakers know lah. How many are women since the inception of UMS? All right? And then, yesterday I realized my post, chairman. Apalah kita ni? Keep on saying kita ni men sahaja. I'm not saying I'm a man. Bagilah chairperson. So I'm not saying that I don't want to be a man unless you want to put it a chairwoman. But in equality, we just say chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you for the add-on. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all our panelists. And because Datuk Dr. Ramzah Dambul have to catch a flight, please together thank Datuk for being here, for giving his insight. Thank you so much. And I think this has been such a heated discussion, very productive. And to all our panelists as well, Datuk Hajah Tarsia, Dr. Hatice, and also Puan Nur Zabetha for being here. Thank you so much. And Datuk, if you have to go, I don't want to hang on because I get nervous. I get nervous because I do have anxiety catching a plane. So I'm feeling that. So if you have to go, please. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. And just to wrap up, maybe a key takeaway or one or two lines from Dato, Puan and Doctor on how can we embrace this, how can we move forward, what is the next step, how can we make that 100 years a little bit lesser. I think by just talking today, it's probably like 99 years, I hope. Yeah.
Actually, it's 130 years. Yes, as for the economic forum says, it's 130 years. My tagline is, in my last sentence of my conclusion, women empower women. If you cannot get the men to empower you, get the women to empower you. Thank you.
As for me, we're talking about gender bias. In society, sometimes, maybe, gender bias is needed, all right? Why I say so? For example, in society, we're looking at the positioned work as a babysitter, all right? We don't expect a man to be a babysitter, right? Okay, maybe because sometimes social expectation, okay? But however, it is our obligation as a society to make the change, because I believe that even if you are a man, you have mother, sister, children, daughter. So I would like to quote, say, by Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you want to see the world, okay? So basically, if you want to start from yourself, okay? Then do your responsibility, that's all.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Hatice.
And I'm totally agree with the doctor saying that women, empowering women. And for myself, I'm trying to teach my students what I have learned late, so that I might be enlightening their ways for their whole life, because otherwise, maybe for them it will be too late to experience for themselves. So that I'm trying to share my experiences so that they will be learning much more earlier to be more stronger. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, saya menutup forum kita hari ini, Gender Equality at Leadership Table, whose battle is a collective effort. It's not only skewed to women, it's a collective effort. So all of us have to think about this and how we can see progress towards gender equality in leadership, because it's not only a matter of fairness, but the potential to benefit organization and society as a whole by leveraging a diverse range of perspectives and talent. Thank you so much. My name is Kartini Ariffin. Thank you, and sekiranya ada kesilapan ataupun ada apa-apa saja yang mungkin tersalah kata, saya minta maaf, dan sehingga kita berjumpa lagi. Assalamualaikum. Over to you, MC.
Baik, sebagai penghargaan kepada ahli-ahli panel dan moderator, dijemput Puan Zulifah Shah dan Penolong Pengarah Kewangan Pusat Luar UMS selaku person in charge untuk forum ketiga untuk menyampaikan cenderamata.
As a token of appreciation, the organizers would like to present a memento to the panelists and moderator, which will be presented by Puan Zulifah Shah, the Deputy Director of UMS Center for External Education, PLUMS.
Dimulakan dengan penyerahan cenderamata kepada ahli panel, Datuk Dr. Haja Tarsiah TZ Taman.
Next, we call upon Associate Professor Dr. Hatice Çelik.
Seterusnya, Nur Zabetha Muhamad Nur.
And last but not least, the ever lovely and bubbly Puan Kartini Ariffin, our moderator for our final forum today.
Untuk makluman para hadirin, pihak penganjur juga turut menghadiahkan cenderamata istimewa kepada ahli-ahli panel dan moderator, iaitu anak-anak pokok yang akan ditanam di Sfera at UMS untuk menyokong program penghijauan Malaysia, kempen penanaman 100 juta pokok 2021-2025 peringkat UMS. Untuk makluman, Sfera ialah Sustainable Forest Education and Research Area.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, for your information, the organizers are also presenting mementos in the form of young plants, which will be planted at Sfera at UMS to support the Greening of Malaysia program through its 100 million trees planting campaign between 2021 and 2025.
Sekali lagi kita berikan dukungan yang gemuruh kepada ahli panel dan juga moderator pada petang ini. Para hadirin, kita telah pun sampai ke sesi penutupan persidangan pada kali ini. Dengan ini majlis mempersilakan Yang Berusaha Tuan Azrul Izanam Hamzah, Timbalan Pengarah Akademik Kepimpinan Pendidikan Tinggi selaku pengajuk bersama persidangan untuk ke pentas bagi sesi penggulungan dan ucapan penghargaan. Dipersilakan.
We will have a recap and appreciation remarks, and for that, we'd like to invite Tuan Azrul Izham Hamzah, the Deputy Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT, to the stage, please.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. MC. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I know everyone is looking back, apa kata, at least nak kejar pergi pasar Filipin. But don't worry, tadi Dr. Kartini cakap pasar Filipin tutup jam 10. So still have time cari ikan bilis dengan ikan bilis mata biru dan juga udang geragau ya. So, Yang Berusaha Tuan Maturin CB, wakil daripada Invest Sabah, our co-collaborator, Yang Berusaha Cik Kamisah binti Hussein, the chairperson organizing committee for the conference, Datuk Asma, rakan-rakan panelists, esteemed guests and fellow conference participants. As we gather here today for the closing ceremony of this remarkable conference, I'm truly honored to stand in front of everyone to express my heartfelt appreciation for this very meaningful conference with the theme of empowering diversity leadership, navigating complexity and embracing differences in this incredible venue with a fantastic view, cantik luar tu, of Sabah International Convention Centre that ignites the inspiration for us to move forward. We have been bombarded with lots of heavy topic, and I guess the grand finale was on gender. I know we take note from what Dr. Ramzah has mentioned. Gender should be put up front as the main issue. We took note on that, inshallah. Probably next round we will consider that as the main agenda, or we might have that gender topic as a topic by itself. You never know. Okay, everyone, kindly join me to give a great hand of applause to the organizing committee. My team from AKEPT, from UMS, and not to forget from Invest Sabah. The dedication, their hard work, and the unwavering commitment have united all of us today here. It's good to see some familiar faces from far and close, from all universities around the country. They prepared a very lengthy rumusan in which I will probably capture some important and resilient points. As we were, it is a 2 days program. Yesterday, we have set the tone by Datuk VC UMS as the first keynote speaker when he have elaborate on diversity with regards as a source of strength. And we look into diversity as a source of strength and considering leadership in various contexts. And later, we can see the keynote speakers, the forums, slowly further elaborate in depth each and every topic. And Dato' VC also mentioned that leadership differs significantly when operating at global in context compared to the locals. What happened in Sabah might be different what happened in Melaka or Selangor or Negeri Sembilan because of the cultural differences, because of the different upbringing probably and values. But as an overall, I would say the university that is faced with the VUCA world today, it is important to identify the DEI, the diversity, equality, and also the inclusivity, so that we ensure that nobody to be left behind. And later on in the keynote 2, we have a very respected figure, Tan Sri Hanif Ahmad. He shared his experience when he was the foreign minister, how different the cultural and working experience, working in the foreign ministry, bringing the name of Malaysia to the stage of the world, and also putting Malaysian interest in various aspects. As you can see that Wisma Putra does carry the Malaysian flag not only from the aspect of foreign relation, but also look into the issue of cultural, legal, and a lot of heavy topics that will be there. And not to forget, Dato' Asma, during the keynote 3, have addressed issues on generation gaps. Some of us are living and working with different sort of generations. We have Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and baby boomers, and every generation have their own characteristic. Then, and it's important, as what Dato' Asma has mentioned, that we should be open and we should be able to understand each other so that we can leverage on the strength, not the weaknesses. So it can be a more harmonious community and workplace. And as for the forum, we have 3 forums basically. Forum number 1, represented by Tan Sri Zul, Madam Dato' Suzana, and Prof Zainal, addressing strategies for fostering religious and cultural diversity. Okay, they have elaborated on humanizing education and introducing concept of communivity, which is having community within the university and the engagement of the university with the community. And this is being further strengthened by Datuk Suzana with regards to activities done by the Rotary Club, Sabah, and how they engage with community in terms of cultural diversity. And later earlier this morning, a session moderated by my brother Pak Din, together with the panelists from Prof Khairuddin, Prof Cruz, Prof Muni, and Mr Izzat, they discuss on the issues and challenges of generation gap. This is a very tough work for them because siapa lagi boleh nak bercakap lebih pakar daripada Dr. Asmah, so they have to it's a very heavy load for them, and I can see they are struggling to further elaborate on that. But it is quite interesting when they define the generation gap based on their experience in respective field. Okay, and lastly, today, in this afternoon, as a closure, we have a forum with the topic of gender equality at leadership table. We have Datuk Tasya, we have Madam Zabetha, we have Dr. Hatice to be flown all the way from Turkey, and Dr. Prof Ramzah. Wow, this is very heated. Okay, where the sharing session is elaborating on the importance of gender equality, and towards the end we can see they conclude that we're talking about gender equality is just not too feminine centric. It should be also covering on male aspect also, in which I can say that the three fundamentals, the misconception of gender equality, and number two is about gender equality should be given more weightage in the future than the cultural and diversity. Yes, as I did mention this earlier. And lastly, we should also do away with the barriers to improve women empowerment. That is very, very important point. And I believe, as we can see, had a lunch just now. We talked to our friends from the Philippines, and said we were sharing that in Malaysia we have that policy that 30% of the senior management posts, be it in the government, ministry level, or the minister, should be represented by the female. I know for the fact that based on the numbers shown just now during the forum, we are still far behind. But seeing the progress lately, I guess that 30% with the commitment of everyone should be able to, materialize, not for the next 100 years, but probably in a few years down the line. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, AKEPT basically carries a very hefty responsibility in developing the future leaders of higher learning education through effective talent management and to ensure effective succession planning. Over and above the 15 leadership competencies that defines institutional leadership, AKEPT delivers programs such as today in addressing current issues, mega trends, technology updates, shared values, and even significant matters, such as the issues that we're delivering today and yesterday, that will bridge the world of academics and non-academics. Okay? This will complement the leadership competency defined earlier and make sure the future leaders understand these issues that evolve around the globe, be it domestically or globally. And personally, I would like to express my appreciation to each and every one of you in this hall today who participated in this conference. You have come from everywhere, the part of this region, and willingness to engage in open, respectful dialogue and ensuring it's a great success. As the organizer, we can organize such conference, but without the participation and active engagement from every one of you, this will not be materialized. Members of the conference, I want to reiterate my profound appreciation again to the organizer, speakers, panelists, moderators, and everyone for making this conference a great success. Let us continue to navigate on the issue of DEI, embrace our differences, and empower ourselves and those around us. Let us be the agent of change. Change starts from us. If we want to bring this forward, the least that we can do is to change ourselves and also the people around us. As we live here today, we may carry the spirit of this conference with us, recognizing that our diversity is our strength and our leadership is our responsibility. We can forge a more inclusive, equitable, and harmonious future. Thank you very much, and have a safe trip back home. And again, thank you for participating in this conference.
Terima kasih ucapkan kepada Tuan Azrul selaku penganjur bersama persidangan atas ucapan yang disampaikan sebentar tadi. Mohon Tuan Azrul untuk kekal berada di atas pentas bagi sesi seterusnya. Dengan ini dijemput Cik Kamisa binti Husin, pengerusi jawatan kuasa penganjur untuk ke pentas bagi sesi penyerahan cenderamata. Kita akan mulakan sesi penyerahan cenderamata daripada pihak AKEPT kepada UMS.
We have some momentous presentations from AKEPT to UMS.
Seterusnya, pihak UMS kepada pihak AKEPT.
Next, from UMS to AKEPT. A big poster to carry back.
Dan seterusnya pihak UMS dan wakil Invest Sabah Berhad.
And now from UMS to Invest Sabah Berhad representative. Another bag, a big poster to carry back home.
Dengan sesi penyerahan itu tadi, maka berakhirlah persidangan pada kali ini. Semoga persidangan ini dapat bermanfaat dan memberi impak kepada semua peserta.
With that, we've come to the end of this two-day conference. We hope that you've gained an impactful and great insight from this conference. Till the next edition, salam hormat and have a pleasant evening. Thank you.